A week on a business trip with my female boss. Zhang Yan, get ready. You're coming with me to the group training tomorrow. When these words came out of my female boss's mouth, I felt a chill run down my spine. Weiwei, the woman I despised the most in the company, the one who almost drove me to ruin. I couldn't stand her. I was already planning to quit. Why me? Didn't the group require a division leader and a business manager? Yes, and we happened to fit the criteria perfectly. The next day, we boarded the high-speed train to the provincial capital. Weiwei sat beside me. Although she was my superior, I had no intention of engaging with her. She was not yet 35, but her ways were ruthless, known in the company as the extinct Shatai. I had to admit, 3 years ago, when I first joined through campus recruitment, I had fantasized about her late at night. After all, in terms of looks and figure, no one in the company could compare. Maybe it was because she always wore formal business attire, kept a stern face, and would lash out at people at the slightest provocation, utterly devoid of femininity. But today was different. On this business trip, she wore a light blue dress, and her delicate face was stunning against the reflection of the train window. If she weren't my boss, if she weren't so insufferable, I would love to go on business trips with her every day. Neither of us spoke to each other. 3 hours on the high-speed rail passed quickly. Just then, a sleazy man in a suit came over. Hey bro, can you do me a favor and switch seats? I get dizzy sitting by the window. You can take mine. Dizzy? More like you're just trying to hit on her. I ignored him. The man persisted, come on, buddy, just switch. I'll buy you dinner after we get off. As if traveling with Weiwei wasn't bad enough, now a sleazeball had to show up. Disgusting. I felt sick and got up to go to the restroom. Weiwei must have thought I was about to switch seats because she unexpectedly grabbed my arm. She shot the man a cold glance. Sorry, we're together. The sleazy guy looked embarrassed and slunk back to his seat, clearly having mistaken our silence for unfamiliarity. As much as I disliked Weiwei, I had to appreciate her handling of that guy. Some people really don't know when to quit. Maybe to smooth over the awkwardness of grabbing my arm, Weiwei spoke up. Xiao Zhang, you haven't been yourself lately. Something wrong at home? I hated being called Xiao Zhang. My name only had 2 characters, why not just call me Zhang Yan? And could she drop the condescending HR-style small talk? Not myself, something at home, as if she actually cared. Thank you for your concern, Director Lee. I'm fine. Everything's fine at home too. I read the proposal you submitted. Good work this time. Consider this a commendation. I wanted to slap her awake. That damn proposal, I had submitted it half a month ago. She made me revise it over and over again. Out of frustration, I had submitted the very first draft yesterday. Weiwei, did you even read my work? If the first draft was so great, why the hell did you make me change it so many times? Did you think I had too much free time? Xiao Zhang, the company has been evaluating you recently. They are considering promoting you to deputy manager of the department. I've given my input on your performance. I wasn't interested. Deputy manager? Still under her command. Unless I got promoted to be her boss, I couldn't care less. Thank you, Director Lee, but I don't think I'm quite qualified yet. Why are you like this? Young people these days lack ambition. When opportunities arise, you shrink back. Can't you be a little more proactive? She cut me off sternly before I could even finish. Show some initiative. Take this training seriously and make the most of the opportunity. I hated how she was always so serious. What a waste of a beautiful face. I didn't say another word and slept all the way to the final stop. At the hotel booked by the group, we each checked in separately. Be in the second-floor conference room at 8 a.m. sharp tomorrow. Don't be late, she reminded me before heading to her room. So naggy. In all my years working, I'd never been late. The training started the next day. By evening, we had free time. If I were here with other colleagues, we'd already be out drinking. Zhang Yan, get ready. Tomorrow, you're coming with me to the group training. When these words came out of my female boss's mouth, a chill ran down my spine. Weiwei, the woman I despise most in the company, the one who nearly made my life a living hell. I couldn't stand her, which was why I was already planning to resign. Why me? Didn't the group require a division leader and a business manager? Exactly. You and I fit the criteria perfectly. The next day, we boarded the high-speed train to the provincial capital. Weiwei sat next to me. Though she was my boss, I had no intention of talking to her. This woman wasn't even 35, but her work style was sharp and ruthless. She was infamous in the company as the extinction teacher. I admit, 3 years ago, when I first joined the company fresh out of school, I used to fantasize about her late at night. Because in terms of looks and figure, no one in the company could compare to her. Maybe it was because she was always dressed in formal business attire at work, wearing a stern expression all day, scolding people without hesitation. She had absolutely no feminine charm. But today was different. On this business trip, she wore a light blue dress, and her delicate face looked especially beautiful against the reflection of the train window. If she weren't my boss, if she weren't so unpleasant, I'd be more than happy to go on business trips with her every day. Neither of us spoke. A 3-hour train ride passed quickly. At that moment, a sleazy-looking man in a suit approached us. "Hey, buddy, do me a favor, switch seats with me. I get dizzy sitting by the window. You can take my seat instead." Dizzy? More like you just want to get close to her. I ignored him. The sleazy man insisted, "Come on, man, just swap seats. I'll treat you to dinner after we get off." As if going on a business trip with Weiwei wasn't nauseating enough, now this creep showed up. This was disgusting beyond words. I felt like throwing up and got up to head to the restroom. Weiwei thought I was about to switch seats, but to my surprise, she grabbed my arm. She glanced at the sleazy man and said, "Sorry, we're together." The sleazy man looked embarrassed and quickly backed off. He had assumed I wasn't on good terms with Weiwei and thought we were strangers. As much as I disliked Weiwei, I appreciated her attitude toward that creep. Maybe to ease the awkwardness of grabbing my arm, Weiwei started talking. "Xiao Zhang, I've noticed you haven't been yourself lately. Is something wrong at home?" I hated being called Xiao Zhang. My name has only 2 syllables, why not just call me Zhang Yan? Also, could she stop using those ridiculous managerial cliches? Something wrong at home, not yourself lately, seriously? Thanks for your concern, Director Lee. I'm fine. My family is fine, too. I read the proposal you submitted. You did well this time. I'd like to commend you. I wanted to slap her and wake her up to reality. That brilliant proposal was actually the first draft I submitted half a month ago. She had made me revise it over and over again, and in frustration, I had finally handed in the original version yesterday. Weiwei, did you even read what I wrote? If you liked the first draft so much, why make me change it so many times? Did you think I had too much free time? Xiao Zhang, actually, the company has been evaluating you for a promotion to deputy manager. I also gave them my recommendation. Not interested. I'd still be working under her. Unless they made me her boss, I didn't care. Thank you, Director Lee, but I don't think I'm qualified enough. Why are you like this? You young people always lack ambition. When opportunities come, you just shrink away. Can't you be a little more proactive and motivated? Before I could finish, she cut me off with a stern reprimand. Do your best. Make good use of this training. I hated how serious she was. What a waste of such a beautiful face. I didn't say another word and slept until we arrived at our destination. At the company's designated hotel, we checked into our rooms. Be at the second floor conference room by 8 a.m. sharp tomorrow. Don't be late, Weiwei reminded me before heading to her room. So naggy. I've worked for years and never been late. The next day, training began. The evening was free time. If I were with other colleagues, we'd be out drinking by now. Other employees from different branches went out in small groups, but I stayed in my room. Thinking about the week ahead, I was already bored to death. I decided to pack my things, take a shower, and sleep early. That's when I realized I had brought Weiwei's large handbag with me. I had carried it for her earlier out of politeness, after all, she was my boss. Calling her to come get it felt like I was ordering her around, but delivering it myself felt awkward. She was staying in the room next to mine. Our bathrooms were adjacent, and the walls had poor soundproofing. I could hear she had already taken a shower. After a few minutes of hesitation, I decided to return it. It was just knocking on a door, no big deal. I picked up the bag, but as I lifted it, I felt a strain in my arm. When I carried it along with other luggage earlier, I hadn't noticed what the hell was so heavy inside. Curiosity got the better of me, and I unzipped it. The moment I opened the bag, a strong smell stung my eyes. Inside were paintbrushes, paints, picture frames, and other miscellaneous art supplies. So, she liked painting? There were even 2 heavy iron paperweights, the kind used for painting or calligraphy, weighing at least 5 kilograms combined. What a weirdo. I was about to zip it up when I noticed something: a white arm. Though it was just a painting, it looked incredibly lifelike. There was a sketchbook inside, filled with Weiwei's artwork. I never expected her to be so skilled, especially at drawing nude figures. Most of the portraits were of women, including a self-portrait. I felt a little embarrassed looking at it. Who would have thought that beneath her strict professional exterior, she had this side to her? There was only one male portrait: ripped muscles, chiseled features. It looked a little like me. I wasn't sure, though. I had never been drawn by anyone before. This completely overturned my perception of her. So, she was an artistic type. I stared at her self-portrait for a moment before stuffing it back. Looking at it too much was dangerous. I knocked on Weiwei's door. She opened it without even asking who it was. You should at least ask before opening the door, I said. Who else would it be? You had my bag, and I've been waiting to start painting. At the word painting, my face burned. Why are you blushing? Did you peek inside my bag? What did you see? And no, nothing. I'll let it slide. Now get lost. Back in my room, I sat on the toilet, unable to calm down. Then I heard her talking on the phone, probably in the bathroom too, since the soundproofing was terrible. She vented to her friend about work, then complained about her husband. I was about to get up when I heard her say, if he dares to cheat on me, I'll make sure he regrets it. Just wait until I get back from this training. What a discovery! So her marriage wasn't perfect. Had I known this earlier, I wouldn't have let her push me around so much. The next morning, I arrived at the training early. I was seated next to Weiwei. This was going to be a long few days. You're allowed to paint unclothed figures, but I'm not allowed to copy a few lines of song poetry. Everyone has a bit of artistic sensibility. Finally, it was time for the lunch break. I went to the cafeteria for the buffet and ended up sitting with her again. Since everyone else was a stranger, I had no idea where else to sit. Director Lee, do you always take training this seriously? Of course. It's my dedication that got me to where I am today. Give her a little sunshine, and she'll shine. Give her a little flood, and she'll overflow. Give her an Italian cannon, and she'd probably dare to fire it. Honestly, sometimes you don't have to be so serious, I thought I should remind her. What did you say? I said that instructor isn't even as good as you at lecturing. Why are you taking it so seriously? You don't get it. While we're here, the company is here. We represent the company's image. The higher-ups in the group are watching. So there were such unspoken rules in the corporate world. Maybe I was too naive. Xiao Zhang, do you ever wonder why you always feel overworked and underappreciated? It's because you work blindly without hitting the key points your boss values. Now she's lecturing me. I'm just a worker, not a servant. Why should I cater to them? At that moment, she bent down to pick up her fallen chopsticks, and through her clothing, I saw something even scarier than in her paintings. After the dull lunch, we went back to our rooms to rest. Lying in bed, I tossed and turned, unable to sleep. Why did I talk so much with her today? That's not my usual style. Although she hadn't been as unbearable these past 2 days as she was at work, if I started getting friendly with her, how could I maintain my tough image? She'd definitely torment me even more. Honestly, if you don't resist it mentally, training passes by pretty quickly. Before I knew it, it was dinner time. Out of nowhere, Weiwei said seriously, after dinner, change your clothes and meet me in the hotel lobby at 7:30. Director Lee, I'm not feeling well. I think I. Don't pretend. Try not showing up and see what happens. I knew she was taking me out. Our company's training attire, a white shirt with the logo, was too eye-catching, so after training, everyone changed before going out. I waited in the hotel lobby until 8 o'clock, but Li Weiwei still hadn't come down. I was about to head back to my room when she suddenly appeared. Where do you think you're going? Director Li, you're really bad at keeping time. So what? Girls need time to get ready before going out. Have you never had a girlfriend? I took a closer look and almost jumped. Li Weiwei was wearing heavy makeup, and it looked kind of off. Why are you frowning? Does it look bad? It looks good, like Su Deji from the Investiture of the Gods. You might as well just call me a fox spirit. Honestly, she had great natural features, so any makeup would suit her. But I still preferred the way she looked during training in the morning. That had actually made me a little excited. Now, walking beside her, I felt like a tyrant. We arrived at a street lined with food stalls and sat down at a barbecue stand. Director Li, do you actually like these hole-in-the-wall eateries? The taste of everyday life is what soothes the common soul. If only she had spoken like this earlier, I might not have wanted to quit so badly. It was a bit cliché, but at least it showed a hint of femininity. 2 cases of beer, 2 grilled kidneys, and 50 skewers of lamb. Director Li, that's way too much. Can we even finish it? Stop calling me Director Li. It sounds so out of place in this setting. Just call me sis. Oh my god, this was historic. The infamous Extinction Master hadn't even started drinking but already seemed tipsy. How was I supposed to explain this to the guys back at work? Li sis, Director Li sis, that's really a lot of food. It's not. Tonight, I just want to let loose. Do you think I enjoy holding back all the time at work? I thought you took pleasure in making life hard for us subordinates. Pfft. I went to college too, I was young once too. Why would I deliberately make things difficult for young people? But in any company, someone has to play the good cop, and someone has to play the bad cop. When Li Weiwei talked about management, she always had a clear logic. I didn't care about black faces or red faces, I just wanted her to stop tormenting me at work. As we talked, the beer and barbecue arrived. Pop, she used her chopsticks to crack open 2 bottles, handed me one, and immediately started chugging. Director Li, sis, can't we drink slowly? Before I could finish my sentence, she had already emptied her bottle. Why aren't you drinking? Seeing her like this, I couldn't help but feel embarrassed, so I picked up my bottle and gulped it down. Another one. She finished a second bottle. I followed suit, and before we even touched the food, we had each downed 3 bottles of beer. I noticed Li Weiwei's face turning red. Sis, do you always drink like this? I don't usually drink. What? Then why today? Sis, my heart aches. She unexpectedly leaned into my arms and started crying. She was so soft that I felt like I was holding a down jacket infused with her fragrance rather than a person. From her state, it was clear that she was heartbroken, miserable, and deeply frustrated. She was also completely drunk. If you can't handle alcohol, don't try to act tough. You're clinging to me like this, throwing a drunken fit. Anyone passing by might think I'm taking advantage of you. She kept crying. Tell me, why did he treat me like this? I worked so hard to pay off his debts, and I haven't even had a child. Sis, don't cry. Let's talk about this back at the hotel. Had I known this would happen, I never would have agreed to come out with her. I absolutely hate dealing with drunk people. I had just started to develop a bit of goodwill toward her, but now she's making a scene in the middle of the street, putting me in an embarrassing situation. With no other choice, I packed up the remaining beer and barbecue and helped this completely wasted woman back to their hotel room. I tossed her onto the bed. She bounced at least 20 centimeters. Just as I was about to leave, she suddenly wrapped her arms around my neck. Don't go. President Li, you've had too much to drink. Get some rest. Why are you still calling me President Li? This is a hotel room, not a conference room, she sat up and said with a serious face. You're not drunk. Of course not. 3 bottles of beer? That's just 3 bottles of water. Just a few trips to the restroom, that's all. With that, she headed toward the bathroom. Is she crazy? If she wasn't drunk, why was she acting like that? She's a madwoman at work, and now she's a madwoman outside too. You didn't bring the beer and meat back, did you? Let us keep drinking. After coming out of the bathroom, Li Weiwei seemed like a completely different person. Sis, what's wrong with you? You keep switching personalities. I'm testing you. Testing me, my ass. At work, you make me revise proposals over and over again, and now, when we're out, you're playing mind games. If you wanted to drink in the room, couldn't you just order delivery? Why go out, embarrass yourself in public, and then come back to drink? Or if you wanted to seduce me, if you wanted to sleep with me, why not just say so? Why go through all this trouble? Zhang, are you mad? She noticed my displeasure. Don't be mad. I just wanted to make our night out a little more exciting. Let us keep drinking. I'll help you take a day off tomorrow so you can rest. Hearing that I wouldn't have to suffer through class tomorrow, my mood gradually improved. We drank beer and ate barbecue in the private space of the hotel room, talking about work and family as if we were longtime friends. She said she felt really miserable. Ever since she joined the company, her boss had labeled her as a workaholic and a strong woman. She relied on that image to climb the ranks. But as she got older, she realized she had both power and money, yet she wasn't happy. She wanted to bond with others, to enjoy the breeze and have a drink after work. But the company promoted her precisely because they needed her to play the bad guy, so other leaders could appear magnanimous. Hearing this, I actually started to sympathize with her. Over the past couple of days, I had realized she was actually pretty fun, not the tyrant I had imagined. She told me she wanted to have a child and hoped her husband would be ready for it too. But he was out fooling around, never taking her seriously. She said she might never be able to have a child in this lifetime. I watched as two clear streams of tears slid from her cheeks down to her chest. She didn't make a sound. Perhaps this was what it meant to cry from the depths of one's soul. At that moment, I wanted so badly to hold her in my arms. But since I couldn't figure out her true intentions, I refrained from making a move. She had already driven me crazy tonight. We kept drinking, and her face turned a deep shade of red, giving her an inexplicable charm. She took off her short-sleeved shirt, leaving only a thin camisole. I had always known she had a great figure and a beautiful face, but I never realized that she was the type who looked slender but was actually soft and curvy. She got drunk and fell asleep on the bed, completely different from her earlier crazed state. She looked peaceful and sweet. The weather was hot, and she gradually shed more layers, looking exactly like the drawings I had seen before. I couldn't help but wonder how she had the audacity to draw herself like that. I wanted to go back to my own room, but at the same time, I couldn't bear to leave. How could something so beautiful exist in this world? I just sat there and watched. I struggled to control my impulses. If she were sober, I was sure she wouldn't refuse me. But taking advantage of her in this state, what kind of man would that make me? Luckily, I could hold my liquor and was still clear-headed. I didn't know how long I watched her, but when I woke up, it was already noon the next day. I was lying on the carpet in her room, and she was nowhere to be seen. Just then, there was a knock at the door. I opened it. It was her. You sure can sleep. It's already lunchtime, and you're still in bed. I even had to bring you food. She handed me a lunchbox. Sorry. Sorry for what? Why did you stay in my room all night? Did you see anything? Nothing at all. Coward. Am I not attractive? She actually said that to me. Damn it, I should have just let go of my inhibitions last night and shown her what I was capable of. Eat up and go rest in your own room. I have a training session this afternoon. She acted as if nothing had happened, leaving me feeling awkward and out of place. How could I possibly fall back asleep? I paced around my room, feeling more and more incredulous. It was as if Weiwei was no longer the Weiwei I once knew, and I was no longer the same person either. We had both changed. In just 2 days with her, she had taught me so many lessons about work, about psychology, about the body. In every way, I seemed so naive in comparison. Since she was so good at putting on an act, why should I hold myself back anymore? After the training session in the afternoon, I waited for her in the cafeteria, curious about what tricks she had up her sleeve today. Sis, are you drinking again today? No, I've been feeling terrible all day. Come take a walk with me later. After dinner, we strolled down the streets of the provincial capital. Suddenly, she grabbed my hand. The last time I took a walk like this was when I was in a relationship. Her face was filled with happiness, a look I had never seen on her before. You're already married. Aren't you afraid of being seen? So what if they see? He's out there fooling around, and I can't even hold someone else's hand. I could feel her hand burning hot. She suddenly cried out, squatting on the ground and refusing to move. She said she had twisted her ankle. I checked and saw no swelling or bruising, but she truly couldn't walk. The hotel isn't far. Carry me back. I really didn't want to carry her. Last night, I already embarrassed myself enough helping her after she got drunk. If any of our colleagues saw us, it'd be even worse. Before I resigned, she was still my direct superior. What choice did I have? She lay on my back as I walked slowly. A warm, gentle current surged through me, making my heart race and my breath unsteady. Come on, kid, you're already this tired after just a few steps. It wasn't fatigue. I struggled to suppress the fire inside me, nearly jogging to the hotel room before tossing her onto the bed. She wrapped her arms around my neck, pulling me down onto the bed as well. At that moment, our eyes met. I thought of that painting, of how she had been last night after drinking. Neither of us hesitated. We kissed fiercely. That night, a storm raged on for a long time. I released all the grievances I had endured over the years. This was for making me suffer, for bullying me, for bossing me around. I had no idea when we fell asleep. When I woke up, it was already morning. Weiwei curled up beside me like a child, looking pitiful, completely devoid of her usual arrogance. I felt a pang of regret. Had I been too rough on her last night? What's wrong? Was I too harsh? No, I think I've fallen in love. This woman was insane. She was a grown adult. How could she say something so unsettling? Where was this love when she was making me work overtime and tormenting me every day? As I was lost in thought, she suddenly pounced on me. How could I resist? Another storm swept through. Half an hour later, the skies cleared, and sunlight filtered through the curtains. It was time for class. I had no interest in attending. My life felt complete now. Work had become an afterthought. Weiwei, on the other hand, was still the same. She sat in class, taking notes diligently. I admired her for that. After another day of training, I wondered what we would do tonight, but she unexpectedly returned to her room to rest. This woman was too unpredictable. No wonder everyone called her the ruthless abbess. The title suited her perfectly. Yet, when I thought about her other side, I couldn't suppress my excitement. As I sat in my room sulking, she suddenly knocked on my door and walked in. She pressed a finger against my forehead. Don't move. What now? What kind of game was she playing this time? From now on, you're not allowed to touch me. I am a married woman. I was speechless. Last night, when she was seducing me, why didn't she say that? Now she wanted to play innocent? But that was just who she was. You could never predict what she'd do next. She sat in my room, scrolling through her phone absent-mindedly. Do you know why people call you the ruthless abbess? Why? Because you only ever consider your own feelings and never care about anyone else. She fell silent. A few minutes later, she suddenly said, I'm getting a divorce when I go back. I know. Your husband cheated on you, and you don't see any meaning in your marriage anymore. How do you know that? You told me when you were drunk. It was evident that Weiwei was struggling with her thoughts. Over the past 2 days, she had been genuinely happy with me, yet she also felt guilty because of her marriage. She was caught between pain and pleasure. That's just the kind of conflicted person she was. I didn't know what to say. I had never experienced a marriage like hers or the kind of work she did. I used to resent her so much. But now, I had already secured an interview with a new company. Soon, I would be leaving. Yet, at this moment, I felt reluctant. In these few days with her, I had grown in ways I had never imagined. Jie, you should get a divorce if it makes you happy. You all just act on your emotions, don't you? Otherwise, should you force yourself to endure even when you're unhappy? So, in the company, you were deliberately going against me? You delayed the tasks I assigned just because you didn't like me? Because following my instructions made you unhappy? Yes. Because of you, I decided to resign. She suddenly stood up and walked closer to me. What is this about? I wasn't intentionally making things difficult for you. That's just how work is. I admit, though sometimes, I did want to get your attention. Her eyes turned red. I even painted a portrait of you. I saw it. You got it wrong, I don't have that many muscles. I didn't get to see you up close while painting. How was I supposed to know? She laughed. She was so unpredictable. Before I realized it, we were tangled together again, writhing like two entwined serpents. For a moment, the world felt perfect. Stupid work, a broken marriage, none of it mattered anymore. Afterward, Weiwei lay still and murmured, I'm quitting my job too when I get back. The week of training passed quickly. During the day, we attended classes. At night, we were together, like a pair of young lovers experiencing their first romance. On the high-speed train ride back, we sat next to each other. I didn't dislike her anymore. After all, I had already gotten my revenge. But I wondered, would things go back to the way they were once we returned? Would she really resign? Jie, promise me you won't quit. A divorce is fine, but this job gives you the foundation for your future. What about you? I'm just a worker. It doesn't matter where I go. Weiwei didn't try to make me stay. She simply held my hand and said, if you're serious about changing jobs, let me know. I have some connections in the area. I felt a pang of disappointment, as if I had lost something important. When we returned, she went back to her usual strong and commanding self. Maybe nothing would ever happen between us again. I pulled my hand away, unwilling to speak further. She leaned her head against the window. Watching the villages pass by outside, I thought of my own hometown. I had been working in another city for years and hadn't returned once. Perhaps life was never meant to be perfect. There was only fleeting happiness and endless uncertainty. The next time I saw Weiwei was a month later. After the training ended, I didn't return to the company with her. Instead, I had her handle my resignation while I took a direct train home. A month at home had been truly healing. There's no doubt home is the best medicine. That day, I went to find Weiwei to pick up my referral letter. She had recommended me to another company. The old colleagues were still the same, those who loved to laugh still laughed, and those who constantly worried were still frowning. Everyone had their own life and their own struggles. This place that I had once despised now filled me with nostalgia. As I walked through the office, greeting people along the way, I finally reached Weiwei's office. She sat in her chair, wearing a simple yet elegant dress, her face full of smiles. She looked much more pleasant than before. Jie, long time no see. You've gotten even prettier. You've changed too. You even know how to give compliments now. Call me President Li at work. This isn't my company anymore. You're no longer my boss, at least, not in terms of work. Then in what way? You know that way. Just then, a sleazy-looking man in a suit walked over. I never expected that after I resigned, she would become the kind of boss I actually liked. Maybe it was for the best. If I hadn't quit, how would we have gotten along? Jie, did you get a divorce? I did. That's great. With your qualities, I'm sure plenty of men would fight over you. Aren't you going to join the competition? I dream about it. Zhang Yan, stop with the sweet talk. When you start at your new job, do your best. I've already told them about your capabilities. With your skills, you'll achieve something great within 3 to 5 years. Weiwei suddenly turned serious. I never knew how to handle her hot and cold attitude. She continued, work hard. Live well. Go after the happiness that truly belongs to you. What about us? What do you mean, us? She closed the door and hugged me tightly for a long, long time. When I left the company, I didn't look back. In my hand was the portrait she had just given me, both of us, smiling sweetly, dressed in elegant outfits. She was right. Maybe we were never meant to be what we imagined each other to be. For now, we should cool down and focus on our goals. I walked along the flower-lined path, striding toward my new company.